Well, hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yeah, let's go. I'm so excited to see you today. How long until we have a Buc-ee's in Gaza, huh? How long? That's a joke today. I'm going to play it back for you in about a year, and then we'll be like, James, you're a prophet. But there's a ton of stuff going on, a bunch of executive orders just flying just volcanoing out of the top of the White House in the last few days. But along with these executive orders and tariff trades, let's take a look at how some of this is going to affect your money. Bill Hennessy's coming back on the show, and he's the guy that helps you save money on your healthcare costs, especially if you already have a big old hospital bill. But Bill, these tariffs, China is now retaliating, and they make a lot of our drugs. Are our drug prices about to go up?
Well, only if we accept that China gives us the full 10% tariff back at an increased price. But you know what? So many generic drugs out there are just $4 a month. So put 10 cents more on it, or 10% more, you got $4.40. So you and I are here to discuss 40 cents a month. How's that sound?
Right. Because the Tylenol's pretty cheap. Aspirin's pretty cheap. But do they make more expensive drugs that actually would hurt someone's wallet out there?
They make a lot of the generic drugs and some of the expensive drugs, but they don't make the whole drug. What they're known for in China is creating and making the active pharmaceutical ingredient.
The precursors.
They make what goes in the pill.
Yeah. I learned that from Narcos, the precursors.
Correct.
All right, so that doesn't sound too bad. Do they do a lot of manufacturing of our medical devices and machines and those things that beep next to your bed when you're in the hospital?
There are definitely components, not the whole thing, but pieces of the medical equipment, pieces of plastic and metal that are made most cheaply in China, and then they're shipped to other countries where the final medical equipment pieces are put together.
Well, you sound pretty calm and collected about all this. I mean, is there any changes y'all are doing at CGA Saves?
No, not for this. Generic drugs. That's not what's driving costs. It's the specialty expensive drugs. It's the pharmacy benefit management companies in the news that are being sued along with the drug manufacturers for illegal drug price fixing. If you want to talk about savings, get rid of the illegal drug price fixing. These very companies right here in the United States are harming us more than China when it comes to the price of drugs.
So who does make the more complex final product drugs? Is this like a Bayer Merck thing? I'm
not going to profess to be the expert on the manufacturing side, but yes, those companies will make it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the final product is actually assembled here in the United States either.
Well, do you see any other moves that are being made in D.C. that would affect the cost of drugs or medical care?
I don't. I just think this is fear-mongering from the left.
Okay.
Look, President Trump said fentanyl's killing hundreds of thousands of people, and that's true. It's more than war, and it needs to be put in the spotlight. And China, Canada, and Mexico can do more to, curtail fentanyl into our country. And that's his demand. This is how he's choosing to highlight it. But if we look and say, oh, my gosh, I can't believe we're giving a tariff. Look, I'm not your economics expert here, but the Chinese have had tariffs on the United States for decades.
Right. The option isn't free and fair trade versus our tariffs. It's our tariffs versus this unbalanced system we got going now.
Well, they're not going to want to cut off their business to us. If they're making the active pharmaceutical ingredients, they're not going to say, you can't have them. The worst they're going to do is pass along the tariff cost of 10%, and then we're still going to get the drugs here. But again, if you're talking the most criminal drug price fixing, it's the three pharmacy benefit management companies. They're supposed to save you money, but OptumRx is owned by United. Express Scripts is owned by Cigna. Okay, there's two of them. And wait a second, that's a conflict of interest. So the insurance companies publicly traded have to have their stock share go up. And then they say they have these pharmacy benefit management companies to save money, but they don't. They purposely let the cost go up. They steal your money, and the biggest harm is right here internal to us with that strong financial conflict of interest.
So you are with Care Guide, CGASaves.com. Is it more important to tap into a consultant like you guys before you get care or after you get care?
I love it when we get called before we get care. We do have services that help tell you where to go and what to pay. We take the surprise out of a bill. My other saying is you never overpay for care because we know the price of care. You can feel good about your price tag if you go through us. But afterward, we're pretty darn good at beating up those hospital bills with all those illegal shenanigans that are in them and all that price hiding and violations of the Federal Trade Commission Section 5 having participated in unfair and deceptive act of commerce, and I can go on and on.
Yeah, the price hiding stuff, is there anything in the platform of the new administration that's going to address some of that?
I
hadn't heard anything
new coming down the pike. However, what the Trump MO is enforce. There's enough laws on the books. If we would just enforce them, we'd have a strong southern border. We've heard him say that many a time. And so similarly, there are already federal price transparency laws. They're not being enforced. So a guy like RFK heading up the Health and Human Services, known as HHS, if he chose to enforce them, the laws are already there. We just got to start putting real penalties and fines to these wrongs so that everybody knows the price of care and it's a fair price before we get it.
Good stuff. Thank you, Dr. Bill Hennessy. CGASaves.com is his website. If you need help with your medical bills, this is the guy you call. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Bill, not too worried about it. Well, good, because that's not what a lot of the headlines you're going to see scrolling through your social media feed today say. Coming up next, what do you think about the idea of the U.S. taking over Gaza? I kind of like that idea. You know how quick we build suburbs around here? We could just put in like an IKEA and a Buc-ee's and, you know, what else do we need? Like a Best Buy, a couple strip malls, maybe some donut shops, a couple nail spas. We'll fix that thing right up. We can maybe just move the Mavericks over there, too. If they're not worried about, you know, bringing another championship here. Maybe you can go ahead and move the Mavericks over there. Then you can build your big, awesome casino, because I know that's what you really want to do, and I don't blame you for it because you're going to make billions. But the thoughts, your thoughts on the United States taking over Gaza, is just a wild fantasy? Is this geopolitical brilliance? What do you think? Or is this the dumbest thing you've ever heard? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I want to hear your thoughts, and you'll hear mine next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. The big game is this weekend. Saw a report that some of the commercials are going to be different than what we're used to. There's going to be a focus on health. Well, that doesn't sound very fun. Scott Baradell from Idea Grove. He's a marketing public relations expert. Scott, I mean, is this just what's cool now, pretending to be healthy?
I guess so. I mean, there have been some trends in terms of viewership and in terms of people's habits. Gen Z, representing more viewers, are more into health, according to data. We'll see if that lasts, but at least in terms of where they are now, they're more into health than previous generations. And women are becoming a bigger and bigger part of Super Bowl viewership. It was 48% last year, women, the biggest ever. Should be higher this year, and it's expected that pretty soon there will actually be more female than male viewers of the Super Bowl. So all of those are going into the trends that are kind of changing the kind of ads we see.
So I find a little conflict here because on one hand, one of the trends is health. On the other hand, another trend is body positivity, which I don't want to say is the opposite of health, but it seems sort of indifferent to health. That's a weird cultural balance beam they're walking down.
Oh, man, you are so right about that one. That's one of the biggest ones because, yes, Dove has a 30-second spot this year on body confidence, body positivity, and specifically that girls in, say, high school might not participate in sports because they're too self-conscious about their bodies and encouraging them to have confidence and to go out there and compete. So yes, and then on the other hand, there's going to be a commercial from Hims and Hers, which you may have seen of this brand of healthcare brand. They're running their first ad this year, and it's going to be all about the obesity crisis.
I don't know Hims and Hers. What I feel like I should know that the way you said it.
Well, there are prescription products as well as grooming and personal hygiene products. It's a online business that's become really, it's all over social media. I don't know, maybe I'm just somehow fell into the target, but I'm seeing these ads all the time. For things like, hair growth to take your pick. That's Hims and Hers. Well,
we're still doing fast food and beer, right?
Yes, there's still going to be a good
amen to that. Yeah,
a good amount of fast food and beer ads. There's going to be, I guess, Little Caesars. There's going to be Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, so it's not like they won't be represented. But in addition to the beer ads from like Michelob Ultra, there's also going to be ads from first ever, I believe, ad from Liquid Death. That they do the canned water.
The water, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of an alternative. The idea is that these can look like a beer can or an energy drink. And so if you're being healthy and drinking water and at a party, you don't want to, you don't have to deal with people saying, hey, go get a drink.
Well, I also, I like the sparkling Liquid Death rather than the flat Liquid Death, because the flat Liquid Death is just water. And I don't know how people do it. In fact, I tried to be a little more healthy today. I was drinking water earlier while I was preparing for work, and I was like, this is terrible. Someone give me a Gatorade or something. This is just god awful. So I feel like a lot of this is posturing, though. There's a lot of people who like to put on airs that they're health conscious and healthy and, wearing workout pants when they, how many of the ladies wearing yoga pants actually did yoga today? Probably like 4 of them. So I feel like this is really trendy more so than lifestyle changes that are happening.
Well, that's a good point. Now, it is true that for the first time in a decade, obesity rates in the U.S. went down last year, but a lot of people attribute that more to Ozempic than to...
Well, look, it's been my observation that we have reached peak fat in this country, in this culture. You can only get so fat before, you kind of reach a max, and I think we passed that.
Yeah, you can only get so fat before you have to buy 2 plane tickets to sit across the middle.
Well, you can only get so fat before your society learns how to deal with, for all of human history until 50 years ago, you didn't have a problem with an overabundance of calories. The problem humanity faced was famine before that. So this is just a problem, a luxury of affluence, and I think we're actually learning how to deal with it. But the Super Bowl, they're not going all too feminine on us, are they?
No, I think it's a good balance. I think it'll be nice. You got a balanced audience. I think you're going to have a balanced bunch of ads. I guess maybe this is more women, but I think one of the ads a lot of people are talking about is the reunion of Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan to reenact the big fake O.
Oh, I didn't know that was coming up.
Yes, that's from Hellman's Mayonnaise. It's going to be. And no, I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to say it.
No, there's no joke there. I have no idea what you're talking about. There's no way that could be misconstrued. How much of this is Taylor Swift? Is a bunch of this female audience going to go away if Taylor Swift's not there next year?
Well, as someone who's not a Chiefs fan, I wouldn't mind the Chiefs not being in the Super Bowl every year. But as long as they are, I think Taylor Swift is a factor. It's hard to say how big a factor, but she adds a celebrity element. It's just like these ads. I mentioned Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal. There's going to be Shania Twain, Chris Hemsworth, Ben Affleck. Take your pick. Matthew McConaughey. These are all folks in Super Bowl ads this year.
All right. Scott Bairdell, Idea Grove. Thank you very much for your insight on PR and marketing. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Find him at Idea Grove online. Coming up next, your thoughts on the United States taking over Gaza. I just think we can't build a strip mall there fast enough. What do you think? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. First things first, we had planes bumping into each other. Now, it's nothing as tragic as what happened last week when you had the helicopter hit the passenger jet. And then you had the weird medical flight that crashed in Pennsylvania over the weekend. This one plane was stopped. Another one had already landed, and it was taxiing in from the runway, I believe that's what it was. And the wing hit the tail out there. There's no explosions, no deaths, no injuries. I don't think anyone stubbed a toe. But we're all just kind of hypersensitive right now about, planes and traffic and getting it right because, this discussion that started with that first big plane crash, if this keeps happening, we're starting to look like we have some sort of systemic problem. I'll keep an eye on that as new details emerge. WBAP will be the first to get them to you. My next guest is going to help with a very complex subject that is going to be dominating the tech world for the foreseeable future. Dr. Gary Orosi is on as an AI expert. And, we had AI pop up recently, and the AI world got shocked when DeepSeek was announced as a rival to what we already had going. And now we have a new entry, Alibaba. I remember that name. What's Alibaba been up to this whole time?
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me to your show. Alibaba has just launched pretty much a competitor to DeepSeek called Qwen 2.5. These are all built on what are called open source models, just like DeepSeek was or has been built up until now.
So is Alibaba... Are they looking to be an AI company and get out of their current space, or are they just adding this to their portfolio, what they already have going on?
Yeah, I think it's more a portfolio ad, and everybody's trying to build AI, James, into their applications. We see that, in Amazon and the things we buy from Amazon. We see it on Google. We see Microsoft building it into all of their, Office applications. And so forth. So people are just trying to make the applications a lot smarter. If you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago when the launch of DeepSeek was announced, 16 months of development and $8 million compared to the billions approaching $1 trillion investment that the AI companies in the U.S. have been putting in, I might have been a little concerned. Certainly Wall Street took a dump to the tune of $1 trillion of value, about 600 million of it coming out of NVIDIA. But as we learn more, it's a little bit more of a, copy and grow. So open source from Meta and their Llama product is open to pretty much anybody who wants to take the code and then build on it. So it turns out that's exactly what DeepSeek did. They did a few tuning approaches, and they did some of what they call their training on their data from the output that was coming out of OpenAI. So there's an issue there. But it's a little less concerning today. I think we're still in the lead here in America, and some of our best technologists are thinking their way through, the next level of functionality.
So that seems weird because Alibaba it sounds like a Middle Eastern company, but it's a Chinese company. And isn't DeepSeek a Chinese company? Like, why would the Chinese compete against themselves?
Well, there are actually two separate companies in China. So they're, competing. One is a platform for purchasing things, mostly started by B2B purchases. Small companies trying to sell to U.S. companies in China, and the initial start of it was Jack Ma created basically a directory that U.S. companies could use to find business partners to make things for them over there. And again, kind of like Amazon, they've become a little more of a tech company. They've expanded into just pure technology. Amazon, as you know, offers like cloud services for data resources and that kind of stuff. So same with Alibaba. They're just trying to build on that technology. This is another race in information tech. We've been at it for, many decades now. The Chinese have been at it. The French have some of a representation in the AI space with something called Mistral. It's everybody trying to kind of move in the same direction and not be left behind.
Okay. Do we expect any other AI competitors to come on the marketplace?
Well, there's 70,000 AI applications so far that are funded by venture capitalists and all kinds of people.
So we're expecting tons.
That just keeps on growing. Yeah, if you get a need, there's somebody that'll come up with a application to meet it, and that's pretty much where things are now, right? They're kind of what they call use cases. So if I have accounting issues, then I can get an AI to figure my accounting issues out, but can't write poetry for me. So that's that sort of thing. I think eventually these will become capable of doing a broad number of things within one platform, and that's certainly what ChatGPT is trying to do. The kind of good thing that happened, whenever competition gets everybody a little bit worried, and certainly the American companies, Google and Chat and Anthropic, who are the leaders, they've just been announcing absolutely new and more functional capability. The ability to do agents or have, software do work for you is coming on very fast. And I can't see how DeepSeek and certainly Quen can keep pace with that unless they're willing to make some significant investments.
Dr. Gary Rossi, how do we find your work outside of WBAP?
Yeah, find me on GORosie@SMU.com, and I'm happy to take all questions and help anybody out I can. I thank you for the time today.
All right. Thanks for calling in all the way from SMU. Could almost walk there from here. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we're not going to be done with AI. We're going to be talking about that for a while. This is something that I have a feeling that you're going to be talking to AI when you call most businesses in about 2 years. Like this is all about to happen really quick. Coming up on the James Show, we have some more Trump executive orders to talk about and the latest updates on the two planes bumping into each other at the Seattle airport. No fatalities, no injuries, but I do have some new details to pass along. So stick with me on the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I'm starting to notice a pattern. Whenever Kate, one of your favorite immigration attorneys, come on, I have to spend the next segment or two taking calls on it. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Do y'all ever feel sorry for me and having this job? Because you shouldn't. I actually enjoy that. I'm just the pig and slop over here. 800-288-9227 if you have any comments on that. Stephen Irving, what do you think?
Man, I'll tell you what, that was a load of horse crap, what I just heard about the flags, okay? I mean, look, I saw American flags there. I sure did. They were on the ground being torched. They were burning them while they were waving the Mexican flag over it. Gee, sure seems a lot like Iran, and our enemies do that stuff too. The exact same thing. So I don't care if you're a lawyer like Kate or anybody else. You start burning that American flag or stomping on it and then waving your flag over it, you're a lost cause to me, and I could care less.
See, this is
what your cause is at that point.
Steve, you're exactly the type of person I was thinking about when I told her. I was actually trying to help. I was like, hey, I would recommend against flying the foreign flags and pick up some American flags. She's like, I don't know if that would be such a good idea. Well, obviously it ticks people off. Steve, you're my example. People who otherwise might be at least somewhat sympathetic, you're just pushing them away.
I can almost, okay, I really don't have a problem with them flying their flag if they're flying the American flag too, making their point. But you're burning our flag. Burning.
Right. Okay. Well, and didn't we also learn that the common phrase I've seen online is like, if you're at a rally and someone's flying a Nazi flag and no one stops them, then you're at a Nazi rally. Well, if you're at an immigration rally and someone's burning an American flag, you're now at a I Hate America rally. Just like if you're at a rally and they're flying Mexican flags, but also Palestinian flags, you're now at a terrorist rally. Do you really want to play this game? Do you really want to apply the logic you try and force on us to your own rally? Because it doesn't make you look very good, does it, Steve?
Thank you, James. You're absolutely right. I appreciate it. I'm going to step off here because I'm going to blow a gasket, dude.
Well, you know what? Here's what you're going to like is you're not alone. You just heard Steve say, yeah, about that flag thing. They were setting it on fire. Mike also sent in on X, whatever you call it today, a tweet or whatever. He said, James Parker Show. There were American flags at the protest also on the ground and getting set on fire. I bet you if I go through my Facebook messages, there's probably one there too. The whole point of having these big rallies and they have them funded and they have them organized is to take a position that seems like a minority and have people who are just cursory keeping up with the news, just barely keeping up with current events, walk by a TV, see a big crowd, see all the people in the media agree with it and half the politicians agree with it and academics and professors and celebrities and musicians all agree with it, and they must think, oh, well, if the overwhelming majority of the people in my society agree with it, that must make sense. And so they think that you're a tiny fringe minority when actually you're far the majority. Even with Hispanics in Texas, they voted for Team Red. Even when they do the surveys on Hispanics in Texas, the majority of them support Trump's deportation plans. So, fine, don't listen to me on the flag thing. You're not making any friends. You're not helping your case. You're actually helping our. You know what? Go have some more rallies. Just go have some more. We'll see how many flags get burnt. You would think if you're an asylum seeker, you'd be burning the flag of the country that persecuted you so bad that you had to run into the loving arms of America, but you're burning the American flag. Okay, that's not going to help your case. You can do that. It's a free country. I don't think it's illegal to burn a flag ever, but we know what's going on in your head for the people who do. All right, for my next soundbite here, there is a congresswoman from Arizona. She's not real happy about Elon Musk going through these databases and making all these cuts because he's just not qualified, y'all. He's an idiot.
I would love for Mr. Musk to come here and testify before this committee so we can understand his qualifications to do this, because last I checked, running a social media platform does not qualify you for understanding how the U.S. government works and making sure that it can operate and serve the American people.
All right. So you are just intentionally being obtuse there. He's not just some guy who runs a social media platform. It doesn't qualify him to what? Go through a database? You think he doesn't know how to code? You think he has no tech experience? Do you really think, you don't think that's a little reductive that that's all he's done is run a social media platform? No, he catches rockets with giant towers. He catches them falling out of space like some sort of mecha Godzilla. He's sending one of his electric cars to Mars right now. In fact, it ought to be there in a couple of months or so. Like, he has the only profitable electric car company in the history of electric cars going back to the 1800s. All kinds of companies tried it. Oldsmobile tried it. Mercedes-Benz tried it. Studebaker tried it. And they all let it go by the mid-20th century. They've only been revived because of the billions of dollars of subsidies that's thrown at it. And even all those car companies have gone under. Do you remember them? Do you remember Smith Electric Vehicle that Obama visited when he was in office? Gave them all kinds of millions of dollars a year money. They went out of business. Lordstown went out of business. I can name about 10 others. They all go out of business. This is a guy who has made electric cars profitable. He also helped start PayPal. He also does the Boring Company. He also does the Starlink satellites that are floating over in a grid above the Earth in a low orbit, providing internet to remote places. Yeah, I think he's qualified. And if he's not qualified, who is? That's one of the impossible tasks about any congressman, is we're asking them, if you expand the scope of government to be in all these industries and all these interventions, can one person, can you, rando congresswoman from Arizona, are you really an expert in education and transportation and healthcare and military and tech and all these other things that you vote on, that you control the rules for, that you control the regulations for, that you cram down the rest of our throats? Hell no, no one is. And if Elon Musk isn't qualified to do this, then who is? You? What's your background? How many rockets have you put into space? You got anything headed to Mars right now? You set up any Starlink satellites? Have you started a payment system, PayPal, that's still in use today, almost 25 years later? You made an electric car? Have you ever even made an induction motor? Have you ever even put together an erector set? Coming up next, you're going to hear from Sarah Gonzalez of The Blaze. She was also at the immigration protest this weekend, and she had a pretty hard time. She'll tell you about it next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.